our contestant number 1. Stephen Cheung, she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember Steve Cheung.
It was a cold winter day in Canada, and it was snowing outside. Inside our house, I got into a heated argument with my mother. I called her the B word and yelled, "I will not come back again." I opened the door, slammed it behind me, and stormed up to the rooftop. On the roof, I decided to jump. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters. This is a story about my mother and I. And it all started when I was just in diapers. I lived with my aunt for quite some years, and I did not know why. My memories were those of eating her homemade chicken wings, playing football with my cousin, and digging sand with my toy shovel, none of which included my mother. My aunt loved me very much. I never caused her any trouble. I was a good little boy. All that was to change when I became 10. Afraid of what Hong Kong would transpire after the handover to China, my dad decided to scoop us up and drop us to Canada. I find myself separated from my aunt 10,000 kilometers away, and is now living under the same roof as my mom. While my dad was out of the country, I will also always find myself alone at home with my brother while she was out with her friends. We will also find ourselves hungry, waiting for her to come back to fix us dinner. Did your own mother do that to you? And when she was home, it wasn't any better. She would be constantly talking nonstop on the phone, make plans to go out, and constantly complain that my brother and I never behaved. When my brother and I were playing, she will come running out of her room, screaming at us like a banshee, telling us not to make so much noise. Needless to say, I didn't like her very much. The cycle of neglect and feeling unwanted continued until that fateful day. That afternoon, my mother complained that I did not vacuum the room or clean the house, which I had. When I confronted her, she said to me, "Don't talk back at me. I'm going to call your dad. Do you think I won't send you to boarding school?" I just shrugged and said, "Sure, go ahead, Mom, call Dad." She continued to berate me and said that I was not a good son and that I was good for nothing. As I listened to her, insult after insult, the years of resentment within me began to boil, and it finally erupted. I said, "You bitch. I wish you were never my mother. I will go and you will never see me again." And you know how the rest of the story goes. Luckily, I made a full recovery and life went on. After I graduated high school, I attended university across the other side of the continent. Take that, Mom. You never wanted to see me around the house anyway. And I returned after 5 years. During that span of time, my maternal grandfather has passed away. Father has suffered several strokes, which ultimately left him paralyzed, and he had to be placed in a nursing home. When I went back to live with my mother, something was odd about her. She would often door. "What are you doing?" She would reply, "I don't remember." She will also sleep all day and wake up at 3 a.m. to take a shower. She also say the strangest things to my brother. "Hey, Eddie, did you go to school today? Which he obviously did. Or, Eddie, someday mom will faint on the streets and you will never find me. To some of you, you may see these as warning signs of mental disorder. I had tried to convince her to see a doctor, but she adamantly replied, I'm a healthy individual. Why do I need to see a doctor? So years has gone by, and I moved back to Hong Kong and started teaching. One night, my brother called me. His voice was in quivers. Steve, mom is in the hospital. So I booked a flight and flew the very next day. At the hospital, I sat down with the doctor, and he told me that my mom was diagnosed with depression. He then led me to see where my mother was. And there I saw her in high spirits, telling me how great hospital food was and how much fun it was for her to stay there. It was then that I realized I had been the one neglecting her when she needed family the most. She didn't, out of a volition, wanted to move to Canada in the first place. It was for us. She had no close families but my brother and I. With the fast passing of her father and seeing my dad's condition deteriorating day after day, her mental state must have turned for the worst. I'm lucky to say and happy to tell you that my mother has moved in with me since then, and she has been doing much better. I take her to hike out on Saturdays, and we enjoy the outdoor together. Depression can be happening to anyone, anytime. And it takes a brave soul to admit that they need help. As observers ourselves, we may need to keep a close eyes on our loved ones and to seek professional help for them when needed. Perhaps it was not strange for her to peer out the door that day, because she might be actually looking for help. Contest chair.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Now 1 minute of silence.